What's going on, guys? Let's take a look at VLDR because this thing has been doing pretty damn well. And, we did do an option call on this thing right around here. And I was talking about us getting a nice run up to this $14 level. And I don't know if anyone followed me or not, but this was just something I was doing because we were expecting a nice pump. And I bought 4 contracts right around here, and we got that pump the next day. Now, I wasn't able to come back with a video, but I was noticing that we were not able to hold this area as support. We came up and we double tapped up here. It would be clear on the hourly on how I knew that that was a time to sell. So we got this beautiful run right here. We popped down. We hit this 1356, and I was watching the real small time frames because in options, it's easy to lose money, especially in this kind of market, on some calls. So when it popped up here, it was catching resistance underneath this 100 EMA here, and I think I was up about $75 on this call here, just for this short move. And I held it a little longer here. Or maybe it was this move right here. I'm sorry. It was this move right here. And it came up here, and it was catching resistance under here. And then it popped up. So right around here, I was like, all right, if we can get a nice move out of here, I'll keep my call. But unfortunately, as we were running up here, we were getting very overextended here on the 45-minute. And needless to say, I didn't sell the exact top, but I did sell somewhere around here when we were getting this like red spinning top at the time, and it wasn't looking like we were going to be able to make it. And I believe we had some exaggerated bearish divergence here. So either way, I closed it out. I think I got $60 per share per contract on that anyway. But we did fall back down, and we did start to maintain this area that we were discussing in that video. And, we started looking like we were going to make a W here, but we continued catching resistance up in this range. And we ended up falling below this support that we talked about in that video I made a while back about that being a crucial area that we need to hold. So once we dumped below it here, we fell all the way down to 1230. So this seems to be a very crucial area of support, and this was the crucial area of resistance. So recently, we came up, we tested this 1350, we fell back down, we made a nice rounding bottom, a nice W, and we actually broke through this 1330. So once we broke through here, we had a good run back up to this $14 level, and a lot like last time, we couldn't hold this 1391. And we've been catching resistance underneath it. We came up with this 2-hour 20 EMA, which crossed bullish. We had a very nice wick down here, which I was able to put a buy order back at this 1325. Came a little bit lower, but I managed to buy some more here. Now, what we could be doing here, unfortunately, is getting ready to roll again. Now, the concern here is, if we look on the weekly 20 EMA, the weekly 100 EMA, we see that we have a lot of resistance at this 1371 area here. Now, we did pump back up above it, which is a good sign. But on the daily here, we're getting a small spinning top here, similar to right here. And as well as that, we do have bearish divergence on the daily now. And we tested this upper trend line here again today at 1390, and we weren't able to get above it. So it could, in fact, unfortunately, turn into an M here and roll over. And we'd have to make sure that this area is going to hold as support. It's very possible we could continue to hold this 1325 as support, but unfortunately, if this turns out to be bearish divergence, we may have to trend down, make another W and run, or right here make another W and run. We'll have to see how that plays out. I've been feeling very good about the stock though. So, as we talked about in one of the videos, that this measured move out of this potential pattern here, this measured move whoops, is 1741. So we could be potentially trying to get out of it. I mean, work our way up to that target. But let me delete some of these trend lines here, and let me just see if we drew a line from here to here to here. There's another possibility here that, come on, my fat fingers are not helping me out here. Sorry, guys. There's another possibility here that we are just coming out to break out of this pattern now if we base it off of this wick, and this wick. Of course, my lines aren't in there very good, but it's possible that as of right now, we're getting the true breakout here, and this would be a larger pattern. That's one possibility as well. So with these things in mind, we just want to make sure that if we do have any type of pullbacks here, we continue to hold this 1325-ish area as support. And that's something that I am going to be watching very crucial. So if we look at it like this is something we just broke out of here, and we're going to create another smaller W, we could come back to this 1330 and then have another run. But ideally, we need to find our way on top of this 1390-ish and start flagging out on top of it. So I'm not saying go and sell all your shares right now, even with that small bearish divergence that could play out. But I am saying that technically we need to maintain above between this 1341 and this 1325. So if we do get rejected here, and I'm not saying that this is the actual pattern that we're in, because it's hard to say if that's it or if we would want to do something like this and this. So we could look at it like something like this as well, which would be some kind of wedge here. It's kind of ugly though. I don't really know what that would be. It's a little bit ugly. So if we did have a fall here, our support potentially should be at this 1337. And our resistance really is somewhere between this 1416 and this 1440. So no matter what the pattern is here, whether it's that or if it's some type of rising channel or something like that, either way, if we came back and tested this bottom trend line here, it would be around 1340 with a potential wick to this 1330, 1325. And if we did continue to trend in here and we eventually got a nice burst out of here, ideally we need to see this trend on top of this support and on top of this support. So right now we're catching resistance obviously underneath here. So if we go sideways here, we could create a nice bull flag that could actually pop us up. But if we can't get enough momentum, we could roll over here and then eventually run. So there's a few things that I'm watching here. I know I'm saying it could go up or it could go down, but I like the way that it's been. I've liked the way it's been gaining momentum here slowly. So I am going to continue to stay in this trade that I'm in. What I did was I entered right around this 1330, 1325. Right here I entered. And I did put another buy order down in this range here, not even looking at what kind of pattern it was in or anything like that, but just strictly basing this off of the support that we know of. And that's kind of how I've been running this whole time. So with you guys watching these videos and knowing about these levels, hopefully it's been helping you out here to continue your trades. So we know that 1325 is crucial support, and we know that as of right now, 1389 is crucial resistance. And then above that is 1439, which we haven't touched yet. So ultimately, I'm expecting that this most likely will run up to test this 1437 at some point, even if it has to back test here. Now, another thing, this is just speculation, but if we did come back down here and we created a rounding bottom here, this could be a potential setup of an inverse head and shoulders as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. If we look down at the 15-minute here, we look like we're actually getting ready to make a nice little run again, which is a great thing. You can see here that the RSI is moving, curling up, so we should potentially have another move up. So the question is, are we going to come up here and test this 1465? Are we going to come test this little peak of a high there again? Those are all things that I am considering. 1415 is an area so far that has been touched here a few times. So I'm trying to think if there was another way to draw something here to make it a little more clear. If we're in an ascending triangle, that's very possible here, guys. So if we do touch this level here and we start flagging out above or underneath here between this 14 and 1439, then that could be a very good possibility that we definitely want to move to the upside even further here. So keep all of this in mind. I know it's probably sounds a little bit confusing, but we could be creating another bullish pattern here as well. And if we were, this is only on the 15 minutes though, so take it all with a grain of salt here. But that move would actually bring us perfectly to test this 1437 roughly resistance here. So I am looking for a touch up here. So whether or not we get touch here, come back down, try to hold this 1390, which would be absolutely beautiful if we could start trending on here. And then, overall, we want this 1440 to flip to support, and then we can really run with a big move. And what would that big move be? If this is an ascending triangle here, which looks a lot cleaner than my weird triangle I had earlier, then your breakout target of that would potentially bring you up to 1663. So this is looking very, very healthy to me. Anytime we drop, we tend to get bought right up. This 4 hour, how's the MACD looking? So it's not quite rolling over or anything like that yet. How's the daily look? Obviously we have a little bit of a spinning top there. So the only thing that I would fear would be if we end up... The only thing I would fear is if we end up with some kind of double top here, or double top with a lower high or something, and then we M out here. And even if we did, we would most likely, I would assume, come back down to this 1231. But that might be a little... Well, if this was an ascending triangle, then we would have to actually expect that, say this thing does go bearish on us after touching that 1439 and breaks down, then we would ultimately be looking back in this 1171 level. So just keep all of that in mind here, that the safest way to play this really would be noticing like a couple 4 hourly closes above this 1439. And we have to keep in mind that this 50 EMA here on the daily is trending down, which ultimately will squeeze us between this 20 EMA and this 50 EMA, and will push us one way or the other. But as this moves down a little bit, it's going to get lower and lower. So if we do have a wick up, we might come close to this area as well. But I mean, I am looking for this to potentially be a good trade setup. But I'm also very, very iffy, only because of the way that the market's reacting. And as of right now, we are getting some sort of rounding action right here on this weekly. So that's a good thing to see. You can see that the MACD is curling up here a little bit on the weekly, and our RSI is curling up as well. So we could be creating some type of W here. Like it likes to do that, like it starts to round up, So if we are in fact doing that, then we would have a very nice W here. And ultimately, this has been working for me, keeping this trend line here, so I'm going to just extend it. If we did get a break here, a W, longer term, we'd be looking for roughly $37 to $38 if we didn't get rejected anywhere up in this level. But the only thing that's a little bit more concerning for the downside bearish aspect here is that we have fallen below our 50, our 200, and our 20 EMA on the weekly, where in the past here we only wicked below this 50 EMA and then we ran up. We touched our 20 EMA and we ran up. So this time we fell through all of our weekly moving averages. So we're going to have a little bit harder time. So really we would be targeting short term $16 to roughly $16.60 with a high expectation of $18 if we came up and got above that 50 EMA. But this is just us trying to decipher here. Are we getting bullish here? Are we starting to turn around, or is this going to be some kind of fake out here and roll over and go lower? And those are all the things that we have to look at. Kind of where I'm at. Like I put in a good sized position here, and I'm just trying to decipher, is this thing really gearing up, or are we going to have some kind of fake out here that ultimately brings us lower, back down to this 1091 area or even lower? So with all that being said, we always have to be cautious here. But for now, I'm liking the bullish momentum, and I'm liking what we've been doing in the levels we've been holding here. So, the only concerning thing right now for me is this like spinning top style candle on the daily, which in the past here we got one of those. Then we had a spinning top that shot us up higher, and then we had a mean drop. So, we still have to be cautious. If you're in this, if you haven't entered this and you've been watching it wondering if this thing's looking good or not, just keep in mind this 1440-ish level here. And we don't want just a wick. We want maybe a daily close or a few 4-hourly candles closed above to really confirm that this is legitimately getting bullish here. So hopefully this video makes sense to you guys. And I'm keeping it on my sights. The volume isn't extremely high when we zoom out here compared to in the past here, but this is going to take a little bit more time to play out here. But short term, I'm looking for, potentially that move out. So let's just watch this level here and see what we can do. All right, guys. Peace.